I'm flying solo today. No Armando on the show. Johnny Manziel wins the Heisman. Cliff Kingsbury's back in Lubbock. The air raid's back at Texas Tech. All that and more on this episode of 4th and Inches.
You're listening to 4th and Inches on Spreaker Web Radio, presented by Bayou State Pawn and Jewelry and Bayou Bark. Now here are the hosts, Nick Lott and Armando Ramirez.
No Armando, it's just me, Nick Lott here on 4th and Inches. A lot to get to. It's been a month since I've made a show. Armando's back in Katy. I'm still up in College Station, so just trying to get a show out there before... the bowl games they started yesterday, so but nothing really important happens until New Year's Eve, really. Texas Tech has their bowl game against Minnesota in Houston on December 28th. Going to try to go to that. But speaking of Texas Tech, I'll jump into this one first and then touch on Manziel during the next segment. I think that this Cliff Kingsbury hire is the best move that Texas Tech has made since they let go of Mike Leach. This, in my opinion, is the best guy that they could have hired for the job. And I know a lot of people around the nation are thinking, well, this guy, he's only 33 years old. He doesn't have much experience. He has a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. He coached a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, a freshman Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. I just think Cliff Kingsbury's the perfect fit in Lubbock. He was the prodigy that formed under Mike Leach. He was the birth of the air raid offense in Lubbock, and he's definitely going to bring that back. Definitely the right guy for the job, in my opinion. Tommy Tuberville really don't like the way that he left Tech, especially leaving during a recruits dinner to talk to Cincinnati. He didn't accept the job at the recruits dinner. He denied talking to Cincinnati while at the recruits dinner. But reports have come out that he talked to Cincinnati while he was at a recruits dinner and then accepted the job the next day on that Saturday, I guess. But Cliff Kingsbury, head coach at Texas Tech, couldn't be happier. Looking at Tech going into this bowl game, how I want to break this down is Minnesota is a 6-6 team playing 7-5 Texas Tech. You look at Texas Tech, lost 4 out of their last 5 games, so really ended the season on a bad note, especially in the overtime loss to Baylor, and that was really not what cost Tommy Tuberville his job, because he transferred, or took a head coaching job somewhere else. But I also think the fact that Gerald Myers is no longer the athletic director there, that also had a role to play in it. Their new athletic director, Kirby something, Horcut, something like that. Good athletic director, gets the right guy in for the job. Can't wait for this next football season to see what Cliff Kingsbury can do. Can't wait to see what he can do recruiting-wise. He does have that Heisman Trophy winner to his credit. And that you look at the success of Texas A&M's offense this season, breaking so many SEC records, Johnny Manziel having the success that he did. I just can't wait to see what Connor Brewer is going to be able to do, wearing Cliff Kingsbury's number next season. This is going to be actually a really quick show, because these are the only 2 things that I did want to touch on. The Kingsbury hire at Tech and Johnny Manziel winning the Heisman. But going into this bowl game, I think Tech can beat this Minnesota team pretty handily. I don't think this whole head coaching job would be too much of it, or this whole head coaching deal would be too much of a distraction. They have the interim coach in there. And, you saw what they did in the Alamo Bowl when Leach got fired, and Ruffin McNeil took over the reins for a game, and they ended up winning. So I definitely think that can happen again. It's in Houston. They'll have a bunch of a bunch of Texas fans there cheering on the Red Raiders. So definitely looking forward to that. Going to try to get tickets to this game. So other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it for this segment. Sorry it was so short. Basically, what I'm going to try to do is take this commercial break, talk a little Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel winning the Heisman. Going to talk a little bit about that whenever we come back. So That'll do it for this first segment. Kingsbury is the right guy for the job, not a doubt in my mind. We'll be back. This is 4th and Inches. No Armando, just me.
We bring the stars out. We bring the women and the cars and the cards out. Let's have a toast, a celebration, get a glass out. A step out of your life. Give me a hell, give me a yell. Stand up right now and give me a hell, give me a yell.
You're listening to 4th and Inches on Spreaker Web Radio. 4th and Inches is presented by Bayou State Pawn and Jewelry and Bayou Bark. Now here are the hosts, Nick Lott and Armando Ramirez.
I'm back. No Armando, just me, Nick Lott here on 4th and Inches. Thank you for joining me. This segment, going to talk about Johnny Manziel winning the Heisman. Really, what everybody expected. But nobody expected this at the beginning of the year. Once the events played out, everybody kind of said, "Oh yeah, Johnny is going to win the Heisman." I was skeptical of it. I thought Manti Te'o had a better chance than he ended up actually having, winning the most vote or the most points, I guess, however they want to call it, for a truly defensive player. So that's outstanding because when Charles Woodson won, he was a punt returner. Manti Te'o is strictly a linebacker, and I think the fact that Te'o did not win the Heisman Trophy, that puts a chip on his shoulder for the national championship. I'll definitely make a preview to that with or without Armando. I haven't really decided yet, but this whole 4th and Inches thing's kind of coming to an end with the end of the college football season. We're definitely going to try to make a show. Our last show, we're going to try to make it together while we're in Katy, probably previewing BCS games, stuff like that, the Cotton Bowl, and him taking on OU. But let's get into this Johnny Manziel Heisman thing. Like I was saying, nobody expected going into this season, if you told the Texas A&M fans, hey, your freshman quarterback's going to win the Heisman Trophy, you would have just got laughed at because nobody would have believed it. And I didn't want to believe it when I heard it. Because, he's a great player. He's a great player. He extends the plays, does everything that you want your quarterback to do. But I also think that he'll grow into himself. He's not going to try to make as many plays on his feet. He'll use his arm more next season, and it's also going to be interesting to see what Manziel does without Kingsbury there, because yes, that's only the offensive coordinator, but that was the first person Manziel would go high five on the sidelines after they scored a touchdown. So it's going to be interesting to see. He had Kingsbury for a year. I'm sure he's going to take what Kingsbury taught him and run with it, so to speak. And people are talking about him winning multiple Heismans. I kind of think he may have a sophomore slump. Don't quote me on that. Don't hold me to that. That's just kind of how I see things playing out in College Station next season. Because going 10-2 in your first year during SEC play, and me and Armando have talked about this all year, is how not bad, but nobody expected this out of the SEC West. Nobody really predicted Arkansas to be as bad as they were, or Auburn to be as bad as they were. Gene Chizik fired at Auburn. Gus Malzahn takes over the head coaching job. He was the offensive coordinator for their national championship win. So good to see Gus Malzahn get a head coaching job at an SEC school. I think he can do great things. And at Auburn, I think it is going to take him a year to turn things around. Granted, they only won 3 games this year, so I definitely think he can improve on that. He went 9-3 at Arkansas State. Yeah, that was Arkansas State, but their losses were to some pretty good teams. They lost to Oregon to kick off the year and only lost 2 more games from then on out. That's a pretty impressive track record for Gus Malzahn. But now I'm kind of getting sidetracked. But the SEC West wasn't what it was expected to be going into this season, because everybody expected Ole Miss and A&M to be at the bottom of the SEC West. And A&M snuck out some close games there. They could have beat Florida, they lost. They could have beat LSU, they lost. They should have lost to Ole Miss, but they won that game. They should have lost to Louisiana Tech, but they won that game. And I mean, what games can go so many different ways just based on a couple of plays here and there. But I honestly will admit the voters did not make a mistake in voting Johnny Manziel as the Heisman Trophy winner. I think he deserves it. He's a great quarterback. From what I see, other than his incident this summer getting arrested, seems to be a good person. That seems to have changed his outlook on things, so to speak. And I don't think it could have gone to a better guy. But yeah, Johnny Manziel wins the Heisman. Cliff Kingsbury takes over at Texas Tech. So with that being said, this next song is for you, Cliff. That'll do it, guys. I'm out. Nick Lott, 4th and Inches. Thank you for listening to this quick episode.